Okay, so how can we know God without silence or solitude? I personally think it's impossible to know God without these two things in our lives. Cal Newport, in his book, Digital Minimalism, he defined solitude not as just being alone, but by removing all external inputs of information. That solitude is less about physical isolation, but it's more about being alone with your own thoughts. In other words, you could be physically alone in the middle of Alaska, but still listening to a podcast on your phone. And that wouldn't be solitude, even though you were far away from people. You could be on a beach somewhere, not a soul in sight, no one around you, but your head is stuck in a book, and still external thoughts are coming at you from someone else. These things would not be solitude. They're just physical isolation with more information coming in your brain. In both of those cases, some sort of third party has sort of intruded on the moment, whether it be a voice from the speaker on your phone or kind of a silent voice from the page. Your mind is still occupied, not with the thoughts of your own heart, but with someone else's thoughts. So solitude cannot exist when another human voice is involved. Now notice I said human voice because as Christians we know that we're never truly alone. God is always with us. God is always speaking to us. And Christian solitude means being alone not just with ourselves, but with God. And then solitude's not actually about us really even getting to know ourselves. It's ultimately about us getting to know the Lord. But first we have to get quiet. Because how can we hear God? How can we know God if our mind is constantly occupied with the thoughts of others? Whether it be audible or silent. So we got to try this solitude thing, getting alone with God. So try it. Get somewhere quiet. Jesus gave us the practical advice of a closet with a door. That is helpful. I have kids. I have a place that a sound machine is really helpful if you need to kind of do some white noise to get rid of the external noise. Jesus himself, he would literally go hike in the wilderness and get alone out in nature. But whatever you have to do, get alone, get quiet. Now, the second you get quiet, the thing you will most fear will come upon you. Your thoughts, the thoughts you've been trying to run from, trying to drown out with noise, they'll begin to rise. And typically it might be an anxious one at first because it's whatever kind of thought has been nagging on your mind. Well, this is actually really, really good news because the Bible says for us to cast our cares on the Lord because he cares for us. So now you have the opportunity to do something with your anxiety, to give it unto the Lord, to talk to him about it, to pray about it. You might have a dream that comes up, some kind of idea that you didn't even realize was bubbling up in your hearts. Then now you have an opportunity to talk to God about your future. But the only external thoughts that are allowed in this moment are God's voice. Now, of course, the Bible totally counts in this because that's God's voice speaking to us. But sometimes we can distract ourselves even with the Bible, and we need to get quiet enough for the thoughts of our hearts to come up so that we can give them to the Lord. This is Christian solitude, where our hearts finally have permission to sort of just kind of well up and pour themselves out at the feet of Jesus. I believe that most of us, our hearts are just so desperately waiting for silence so they can be heard. You will be amazed at what will come up. Of course, as I said, you'll have some pain come up. Well, now it's an opportunity for God to heal it. Maybe you'll have an unforgiving thought or an angry thought at someone. Now you have the opportunity to forgive that person. Actually, a lot of the things that Jesus commanded us to do, they're very, very hard to do without silence and without solitude. When we are drowning out what's going on in our hearts and what's going on in our minds with the voices of the world, with the voices of others. We cannot know God unless we get quiet, unless we experience solitude. Try it today.